See, with respect to social issues and Indian society, I think we have covered the major aspects, right? Did you all see once? Did you all go through what we have done? Yes? Any doubts in any area? No? Now we are just left with, there will be one line in your syllabus as part of your GS2. That will be like social sector schemes. They basically emphasize about social sector schemes. Now when you look at these social sector schemes, basically you need to understand that what exactly constitutes your social sector. Because when you go and look at the question in 2019, they had categorically emphasized on the multiple or cross-disciplinary aspect with respect to the social sector schemes. Now they have talked about something called as convergence of schemes. They basically meant like, the question was something like this, I don't remember the exact verbatim of the question. But they were asking like, or they said there are multiple departments, multiple schemes, but there is lot of convergence or lot of overlapping functionality of each of these schemes. So they wanted us to examine that aspect. So basically for you to answer that question in 2019 as part of your GS2, you need to know what is the meaning of social sector. Now when you talk about social sector, whatever we have discussed from past 3 days or 4 days. The past 3 days, 4 days we have discussed about Indian society, elements of Indian society as like diversity as an element of Indian society. Then we have seen certain social phenomena. For example, your urbanization or the corresponding social consequences, your globalization, your then secularism, communalism, regionalism, all these kinds of things. Now when you look at this particular social sector, it is such aspect or it is such sphere of life which has social understanding. Now when you look at social understanding, basically means all of your social needs like education, health, sanitation, housing, clean fuel or electricity. Okay. For that instance, even with respect to tackling of poverty, especially with respect to the agricultural aspect. When you find the social understandings or social connotations of different sectors, and all this constitute your social sector. Your education, your elements of health, your elements of sanitation, your elements of housing, your elements of clean fuel, your elements of poverty. Now, thing you are supposed to understand with respect to this is, now each of the social phenomena or social need has an issue. Has an issue with respect to its own functioning. You have certain shortcomings in the Indian education system. You have certain shortcomings in the Indian health system. Now it has an issue with respect to its own functioning, first thing. Now the second thing, it has an issue with respect to the public, with respect to your accessibility, affordability, availability, utility, sustainability, all these aspects. Yes. So when you look at the issues of each of this sector, it is a two-front issue. Two-front issue in the sense, issue with itself as a sector, your health issues or health sector issues, or your education sector issues, or your sanitation sector issues, or shortage of housing issues. One is, within the sector it has its own issues. The second one is, the issues corresponding to the accessibility, availability, affordability, utility, sustainability of this social sector or this social sphere of life with respect to the people who are using it. Now when you understand this, the issue with respect to any of the social phenomena or any of the social needs is two-front. Now in order to tackle these issues which are two-front in nature, one is with respect to inherent system itself and the other one is with respect to as a resultant of the shortcomings of the inherent system when it comes to when it comes into the public ambit. Now, in order to tackle these issues, or in order to tackle or balance these issues, we need to go for something called as social security or social sector schemes. Now, the social sector schemes is a kind of governance mechanism. It's a kind of governance mechanism. Governance is all about what? To govern certain sections, to make certain sections of the society avail something. Okay. Now, when you find that each of this social need is not independent in itself. Just observe. Each of the social need is not independent in itself. It has its own interrelation, it has its own interdependence, it has its own coordination, it has its own convergence or overlap of subjects or overlap of ambit. Now, when you talk about health and education, don't you think the doctor education or the medical education is impacting the quality of health that is provided? Or the extent of availability, extent of accessibility, extent of affordability of medical education is determining your doctor to population ratio? Yes. Or the extent of medical education infrastructure or the extent of medical education research is determining the quality of health outcomes? Yes or no? Now, when you talk about health and sanitation, don't you think the extent of sanitation facilities that is provided to the public will determine the amount or the magnitude of health dependence? Yes. Or it would determine or it would testify the robustness of your health systems. Now, when you talk about housing, don't you think housing is an inherent component with respect to your sanitation facilities as well as your health facilities? Yes or no? Now, clean fuel and health, clean fuel and sanitation, clean fuel and housing, clean fuel and education, sanitation and education, housing and education. Now, when you find or when we studied the concept or the phenomenon of migration, we found that absence of each of the social sector schemes or absence of each of the social need was a push factor for migration. Or accessibility or presence of these social needs in some other region, which is your destination region, acted as pull factors for migration. Now, that is the relevance with respect to dealing of social sector schemes. Now, the social sector schemes, they are seen as a panacea for all the social issues which are persisting in the society. Now, when you look at the common social issues that are persisting around your marginal sections, be it minorities, be it SCs, STs, OBCs, or your disabled, or your old age, or your transgenders, you found that they had or they lacked the access to social basic needs. Yes, they had inaccessibility to health, they had inaccessibility to education, clean fuel, sanitation, housing, all this. Now, when you find most of the issues with respect to your vulnerable sections, issues with respect to the structure of the society is persistent or is revolving around the social needs, don't you think it is very relevant to talk about social sector schemes? And it is very relevant to talk about social sector schemes and evaluate the necessary of social security schemes or necessity of social security schemes in such a way that you are able to derive the converging function of each of these sectors. This is clear. Now, when you are able to tackle social issues or tackle any kind of social deficiencies through your social sector schemes, don't you think it is going to result in social empowerment? Yes. Now, when it is going to result in social empowerment, don't you think it is going to lead to the phenomenon of inclusion? Or don't you think it is going to tackle social exclusion as a phenomenon? Because social exclusion as a phenomenon is seen that inaccessibility to all these things. If you are not able to access, afford, utilize any of these sectors, you are considered as socially excluded person or individual or group. So in order to tackle the issue of social exclusion, you basically need to go for your social sector schemes in order to ensure social empowerment, in order to tackle social exclusion, in order to give an impetus or act as a force multiplier for the phenomenon of inclusion with respect to your society. Now, when you are able to ensure that there is social inclusion, the society is devoid of social exclusion, or you are able to tackle your social issues or your social deficiencies, and you are able to socially empower certain sections of the society, then don't you think you are catering to the social justice which is envisaged in your preamble, where Dr. B.R. Ambedkar says social justice forms the foundation bedrock for your political as well as economic justice to be realized. Yes? So this is the basic context with respect to your social sector schemes. Now if you remember this broad understanding, I think that question would have been very easy. You basically need issues. Now for tackling social issues, you need social sector schemes. Now if you are able to implement social sector schemes very well, then you are going to tackle issues of social exclusion, provide social inclusion. Through this, you are going to ensure social justice. That's it. Now, whole of your governance mechanism, whole of your bureaucracy, whole of your policy making is revolving around what? These. It is revolving around these. One is with respect to making on this, one is with respect to implementation on this, one is with respect to evaluation on this. This is all about your governance. Your political bureaucracy is making about these schemes, first thing. Your permanent bureaucracy or your civil services or civil servants or public servant is basically looking into the implementation of these schemes. Now when you talk about your regulatory bodies, they are basically looking into evaluation of these schemes. And if any of these three organs of this particular system or governance mechanism is failing, then the citizens are given with a tool of accountability mechanism. They can ensure either your vertical accountability or horizontal accountability through your RTI, social audit, citizen charter, public service act. This is what is your governance. Governance. So when you look at the mechanism or the principles of governance, it is basically to ensure an efficient and effective and responsible and accountable and transparent and people-centric implementation of social sector schemes. Now whatever principles I have told you, they are principles of good governance. This is the reason why after these, I think in your syllabus, your accountability measures, your governance mechanism comes in. Now when all of these three organs, be it your lawmaking, be it your bureaucracy, be it your regulatory bodies, and be it citizens also, when they are exercising their accountability, if they are failing, then an alternative mechanism is created. That kind of alternative mechanism in order to look into the implementation of social sector schemes in order to ensure social justice is nothing but your civil service or civil society organizations or your non-governmental organizations or your cooperatives or your voluntary organizations like your SHGs. Why do you think they have given all this in governance? Basically to realize that government is not everything in itself. If government is not doing its job, my dear NGOs, my dear voluntary organizations, my dear civil society organizations, please come and fill the governance deficit or governance vacuum there. This is all about governance. All about governance. If you know this broader perspective of governance, now for you to understand the principles of good governance is extremely easy. And if you understand the principles of good governance, I think your governance is almost done. Because in any governance question, you are certainly supposed to use at least 3 to 4 principles of good governance. This is clear. Now we'll see two sectors in specific. One is your education and the other one is health. I think they have mentioned these two sectors specifically in your syllabus. Education, health, comma, I think social sector schemes. Now, as part of this education, section, we'll be basically seeing the structure of Indian education. What is the structure? What is the status? What are the issues? What are the issues and way forward? See, I'm not dealing with respect to your new education policy 2020. Please refer. Please refer. I think they have asked enough in this 2020 mains. In every paper, they had a question on new education policy. Every paper. GS1, they had, GS1 in fact, they had two papers, two questions. GS2, they had one question. GS3, they had one question. GS4, they had one question.
GS1, where can you expect this new education?
As part of society. They had asked with respect to online education. And how is it dealing with respect to the gender issues? Because your new education policy has introduced something called as Gender Impact Fund. Gender Equity Fund and Gender Impact Fund. So I think in that connotation they had asked in GS1. I faintly remember, I think they had asked in that connotation only. So women as an issue is part of your GS1. How can you define education? Somebody?
Something which empowers the person.
Something which empowers a person. Even weapon empowers a person.
But
Because communists believe that power flows from the barrel of the gun. Then?
that's But even to understand that he must education is not just about something in the books or it's most about
Acquisition of knowledge.
and discussion.
Please remember, wisdom cannot be acquired.
Acquisition of
Wisdom cannot be acquired. Wisdom is what an inherent phenomena is. It is an inherent character. We'll get wisdom from knowledge. So acquisition of knowledge, or it is the process of gaining knowledge. Very simple. Whatever you have acquired or whatever you have gained in the form of knowledge is being applied. So it has an acquiring concept as well as an applicative phenomena. That is what is education. So education is not only about acquiring knowledge, but it is all about applying whatever knowledge you have acquired. Right? Now when you look at the structure of Indian education, what is the structure? Primary, secondary, higher. Primary, secondary and higher. Now when you look at the structure of primary, higher, secondary and higher, now primary education is mostly from 1 to 6th. 1 to 6th class. This is till 12th class, and this is your anything above your 12th. Yes? This is the basic structure of Indian education. Now when you look at this particular structure, you have very common issues which are persisting with respect to each of the structure, your primary, your secondary and your higher. Generally we mostly deal with primary and higher. Okay, we basically turn a blind eye with respect to your secondary, but we generally deal with higher and primary. Now when you look at your primary sector or your primary education, what are the issues? Issues of primary. The first one is shortage of infrastructure.
Shortage of human resources.
Shortage of infrastructure, how? One, with respect to your schooling. Two, with respect to the connectivity, roads. Three, with respect to the sanitation. Yes. Then second issue with respect to teachers. Now when it comes to issues of teachers, one, it is absenteeism. Two, it is vacancies. One is absenteeism, two is vacancies, and three is quality. Quality. Then the third issue is resources, funds. Because when you look at this fund shortage is basically the consequence of this teacher shortcoming as well as your infrastructure. Shortage of funds. Then the fourth issue is the learning outcomes. Fourth issue is the learning outcomes. Now when you talk about learning outcomes, we have an Acer report which states that only 28% of the students, only 28% of class 5 students can do a simple multiplication of class 2. Now it basically indicates the extent of learning outcomes. Now the fifth issue is with respect to the dropouts. Gross enrollment ratio, dropouts. Right? These are certain issues of education. When it comes to funds, it is only 3% of GDP which is allotted for your education funds. Only 3%.
We include also the private sectors.
Okay, towards the end.
Like how they are catering to the needs of the society. Whether they are catering or not.
No, that is not needed. Only general issues are more than sufficient. See, for education, you have number of points to write. Now, that is the reason why I am giving you broad aspects. If you start writing, you can write at least 15 points. Your capitation fee, then high charges or vocational training. Okay, there are a number of points. That's why I am restricting myself to 5 broad headings. Now write one point under each or two points under each, still you will get 10 points. Now tell me, what are the issues with respect to tribal education in the similar manner? This can be one question. Medium of instructions. One is medium, very good.
Connectivity.
2 is infra, very good.
Lack of faculty.
Teachers.
Teachers.
Basically, when you talk about teachers, they do not have any kind of incentive to work there. They do not have any kind of incentive to work there because It is a geographically complex region. Then what other issues?
There is no proper awareness about the value of education.
Okay, awareness. Then can I say curriculum mismatch? Now say if a tribal boy is interested in martial arts, now you make him and sit and study about Ashoka, about Harsha, what will you do? He'll start finding Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee in them only. What else can he do? That's why there is a curriculum mismatch. Curriculum mismatch. So these are general issues with respect to your tribal. Language barrier is one. That is your medium of instruction. Infrastructural shortage with respect to the roads, connectivity, school infra. Then teachers or teacher absenteeism. 4 is curriculum mismatch. Then you can even talk about, because of curriculum mismatch, you have the dropouts. You have your dropouts. Now this impact, the issues of tribal education is a buffer concept. It can so appear in your paper 1, GS1 suddenly. I think last year they asked, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember whether in 2019 I wrote the issues of tribal education in my anthropology paper 2 or GS1 paper. Just check once. I think they asked, I don't know, I don't remember, I faintly remember. Okay, so these are basically issues with respect to your primary sector. Now should we deal off the issues of your higher education also, or should we give solutions for primary education, then we go for, we'll give solutions first. Our measures to tackle the issues. One was Samagraha Shiksha Abhiyan, which I talked yesterday. Samagraha Shiksha Abhiyan. Then you can talk about vocational education. You can talk about vocational education. Samagraha Shiksha Abhiyan, vocational education. Then implementation of RTE, Right to Education Act. Then with respect to ensuring accountability of teachers, biometric attendance. Biometric attendance. Campaigns, awareness campaigns. Okay. Midday meal scheme as part of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, or you can basically talk about ICDS, midday meal scheme. Fine. Biometric attendance. Then teacher training. And one more measure is robust outcome monitoring system. Robust outcome monitoring system. Robust outcome monitoring system. Robust outcome monitoring system. So these are certain measures, broad measures. I'm giving you broad measures.
Do they cater to the future emerging needs actually?
Which one?
There means, like, if at all there is a pandemic which we have seen, this is all the market.
Then you include online education also. What is there? Or digitalization. Pandemic is an emergency condition.
So from that we can build back better, like we can even provide in the remotest areas through online education.
Yeah, no issues. But online education has a lot of negative connotations. Because UNESCO has estimated that there will be a dropout of at least 200 million students because of online education. Okay.
It's because of digital divide and also
Digital divide only. Yes. Majorly digital divide and also lack of incentive to sit in front of systems. Now for kids, like who is first, second, for them system or for them computer, laptop or cell phone is meant for games. Now you make them hear classes in that, who is going to hear? No. Mom is busy making chapatis there. Dad is busy working online. This fellow is busy playing games. I think 1 year they took holiday, and for teachers from next academic year it will be like hell of a business to make them remember what they have taught. Because almost 1 year it's a pause. It's a pause. In fact, it's almost like clean disk. Because they are not ready to study. They want to play. Just imagine 1 year official holidays. My God. Huh? School times would have been like crazy then.
that's true. Zero academic year.
Zero academic year.
No issues.
Yeah?
Pressures from the
Yeah. That will be there.
just enjoying.
Sir, and also we can talk about fee structure also.
Fee structure becomes too specific. Too specific, that is the reason why we talked about RTE. Basically, RTE ensures your accessibility to education. That's why we spoke about RTE. Fee structure becomes very specific. Okay.
6 lakhs for LKG is also.
Yeah. Who can afford? Here from Navodaya? Achha. Which campus? This Lepakshi. Uh-huh. Achha. Now, what is the way forward? What is the way forward? I think you made me write in measures only. This online was in way forward. Atram. One way forward is digitalization. See, we'll know so much under each section, but please restrain yourself so that it will appear to the examiner that we are covering every section. Digitalization, innovative models of education, Yeah, all those. I'll not say Atal Innovation Centers, they basically imbibe the scientific temper. But what I'm talking about is, I'm talking about innovative models of education. It is not only like classroom education. There are some teachers where they take you to the ground and make you study, or they take you to the gardens and teach there. So innovative models. Okay. Integrated approach. Integrated approach basically mean what exactly happens in your Sarva Shiksha, this Samagraha Shiksha Abhiyan. Now, one classic example for integrated approach is your Rajasthan. What they do is, say there is one region, there is another region. Now there is only one building here, there is only one building here. Now you have all classes here only, you have all classes here only. Now what they do is they integrate this system. They say this will be your primary, this will be your secondary. Now what is happening? The infrastructural deficit is also being cleared. The faculty deficit is also being cleared. Yes, now we are basically emphasizing on qualitative education, model of integration. Did you all understand this? Yes?
So in school, see the government schools like Pradhamika Pathashala, up to which class there is a teacher?
Up to 5th class, one building. After that, one building will be there.
I'm saying here that will be there, but I'm talking about in different regions. They are basically trying to cover up the infrastructure deficit. Now here, as a structure of education or as part of your education structure or Indian education structure, they are having primary and secondary as a separate building. But here, two different regions altogether. Now they are ensuring connectivity between these two regions. One thing.
There may be dropouts because of the distance also, right?
That's why they are ensuring all this. They are ensuring there is necessary connectivity that is ensured for these two regions. Integration model of education. Right? Now coming to higher education. Higher education. Now when it comes to secondary education, the one of the fundamental issues is dropouts. Secondary education, not higher education. Now when you talk about secondary education, the fundamental issue is dropouts. And the other fundamental issue is there is lack of vocational education. There is lack of vocational education. Now when you look at your secondary education, it has a gender bias with respect to, when you look at the girl student population of secondary education, generally it is during their puberty stages. Now once they attain that stage of puberty, they would have certain physiological changes, certain physiological constraints and inconveniences. Now when the school is not able to cater to the physiological inconveniences that a particular girl child or girl student is having, then the only solution that is left for them is dropout. So that is also one reason, infrastructural deficit when it comes to the sanitary facilities of girl child. I think Navodaya schools have a very good sanitary practices. I was very much impressed because they had a vending machine. They had a vending machine of sanitary pads and they had an incinerator of sanitary pads. And not only that, they have a regular system where they maintain, suppose say they have duties in order to look into the working of that incinerator. It was very organized system. When I came to know about that, I visited this JNV Karnool. Which area? I think near Nandyal or somewhere. So
what is the issue with like these Navodaya and Kendriya Vidyalaya? These are central funded schools. When coming to the state funded schools, they don't like this much facilities actually. Even they both are being funded.
So nowadays they are installing such schemes,
Facilities? See, with respect to vending machines, I've seen, but with respect to incinerators or burning of the sanitary pads, I haven't seen. That kind of management, I don't think it is up. It is present in most of the schools. Forget schools, like even in some of the premium women universities also, they lack this incinerator facility or this management of solid waste, especially with respect to this sanitary pads issue.
And what is the issue with state schools and central?
Huh?
What is the issue with centrally funded schools and state funded schools?
Political will. That's it. Nothing more. మనం ఎప్పుడెప్పుడు తిందామా అని ఉంటాం. With respect to state administration, that greed for opportunity to swallow government funds
Not everyone
is more.
in KVMs.
Huh.
Seats limited. Even seats are itself limited.
It has certain restrictions.
That's true, but even seats are limited.
అందరూ అలా ఉండదు.
That's true.
Higher education. Now, when you look at higher education, now what are the issues with respect to higher education?
Quality,
Issues?
quality, like efficient and robust colleges. Vocational education.
పండు క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా 10 అట్లా చేస్తాం. హలో, క్లాస్లో ఉన్న 10 అట్లా చేస్తాను. Talk about issues. What are the issues? One is infrastructural issue. Then with respect to teacher vacancies. Teacher vacancies.
Teacher dropouts.
What do you mean?
Now they have not only BSc and MSc. Teachers need to do B.Ed also. That is compulsory.
Yeah, that is
So
there.
some people are dropping out in the middle.
Okay.
BA.
Now the third issue is obsolete curriculum. Obsolete curriculum.
Lack of job opportunities also.
The quality issue with respect to the employability.
Lack of inspection also.
Yeah. Quality issue with respect to employability. When you talk about India Skills Report basically highlights that only 46% of the people are employable. Now we should not blame job opportunities because rest 55% are not employable. We study one night before the exam and write and pass. Then how?
So the curriculum also should be so interesting to even.
You have to make it interesting. That's it.
When it is so obsolete, how can they make it interesting?
Huh?
When things are getting obsolete, how can we get interesting? Actually?
See,
So like when Python is going on in the market, actually, they are also dealing with only C. Because to learn Python, they need not teach C actually. People can directly learn Python, but even
if you
then
learn
Python
C-
will not be taught in college actually.
If you learn C, you can write. Understand basic language kada.
yeah.
I don't get this basic language issue, sir. Even teachers also say the same actually. What is trending in the market that should be learned actually, but they never address this.
The issue of career awareness. The issue of career awareness. The issue of career awareness. Then the issue of research ecosystem. The issue of research ecosystem. The issue of research ecosystem. When you talk about research ecosystem, when you look at research ecosystem, it is only we spend around 0.7% of GDP on research. Then the issues of cost, then issues of emotional stress. When you look at your IITs, you have the suicidal rate at this stage. Emotional stress. I think in 2017, when I was in my PhD, I think, in my hostel itself, one second year student will have a basketball court in the middle of the hostel normally. He has used all the physics there. He was a candidate of engineering physics, bachelor's candidate of engineering physics of IIT Delhi, I think second year or something, or first year only. First year. I think I was just coming back from lab at around 2:30 in the night. And suddenly, I mean, my room is like this and basketball court is just outside the window. Then I heard a third sound, like,
Something as
I thought some coconut, something will be there. And I really saw one coconut breaking there. Head. The worst part is he did not die. He was disabled completely. The reason behind his suicidal attempt was his parents forced him to join that branch which he did not like. He wanted mechanical engineering, but he was getting mechanical engineering in IIT Kanpur or somewhere else, or some other IIT, but his parents wanted him to study in IIT Delhi, so he took engineering physics. That's why he did not like it. He jumped. Lifetime disability. I've seen that happening in front of my eyes. Very scary. That's why I told sad part is he did not die, because he would have died at least one shot, but now he has to suffer all through his life. So this is all about the issues with respect to higher education. Now what are the solutions with respect to your higher education?
pooling of funds for creating.
Did you talk about funds here? No, funding is also an issue. Funding. So first measure will be increase fundings. First measure is increase fundings by creation of something called as Higher Education Funding Agency, HEFA. They have created it, Higher Education Funding Agency. Then with respect to infrastructure, you can talk about Institute of Eminence. Institute of Eminence. Then with respect to vacancies, you can talk about periodic recruitments. Periodic recruitments. Then with respect to obsolete curriculum, the solution is institute industry linkage. Institute industry linkage. Then when it comes to quality, with respect to quality, you can talk about certain practical or something called as experiential learning. Experiential learnings. And in order to gain this experiential learnings, you basically need to have this institute industry linkage. Experiential learning. Then with respect to career awareness, certain career counselors, certain career guidances. Then with respect to research ecosystem, you can talk about your incubation cells. Or you can talk about Atal innovation missions like this. See, one issue with respect to here is quality of not only students, quality of universities also. So with respect to quality of universities, you can talk about this grading system. You can talk about grading system. Yes. This is all about the measures.
Over red tapeism.
Over red tapeism, how?
I mean, to get any
Permission. Fine. Fine. That is one of the governance blockades. Over red tapeism. But in fact, when you look at over red tapeism, in fact, I think when you look into the issues of quality of university, I think you need that kind of regulation somewhere. Because otherwise you would see mushrooming of different institutes. Right? So you need regulation but not over regulation. Okay.
Not all use, but within the
Process itself, yes. Now,
within the institute itself.
now, for example, within the institute, if you want to get a refund or if you want to claim your merit scholarship, then it will take hell lot of time. True, that is true. Basically, revamping of their administrative structures. Right? So, this is all about measures. Now, this is all about with respect to your education as a sector. Now, if you want to add one more element to this part of education as a sector, what is the impact of education or social impacts? Huh?
Creation of human capital.
One is human capital, very good. Human capital driven social capital. Yes, then
Standard of living.
standard of living.
Reduce prospects of delinquencies
Okay.
Advance of technology.
and people are getting educated.
Technology. Okay. Can I say societal awareness? Can I say societal awareness? Employment. Employment, technology, usage. Technology usage. Then can I even talk about the moral fabric of the society? Moral fabric of society. This is where you can include your delinquencies. Reduction in incidence of child delinquencies. Clear? Moral fabric of the society. So this is all about education. This is all about education. Now I think the last topic of your social issues is health. Health. Now under health, we have to see the structure, status, issues, measures, which we'll see after 5 minutes break. Now I think after this, we'll directly start off your governance. Now in governance, I think we'll deal with RTI. We'll see basics of RTI. We'll see certain principles of governance. We'll see social audit. Right? We'll see social audit. We'll see citizen charter. Then I think more than sufficient. If you know these four, basically you can even handle the things in ethics also. Because there you have corporate governance. So corporate governance are principles of imposing accountability with respect to your governance mechanism. So if you are able to know these 4 to 5 topics, more than sufficient.
Can you also say about role of civil services?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I forgot. NGOs and civil services and democracy. I'll tell you. I'll tell that. 5 topics. Each 15 minutes.